All right, welcome everyone to another edition of Faith Encounters with Jarett Terry. Today, I have with me the one and only Minister Harriet Lyons. Say hello to the people, Harriet.
Hi, everybody.
How you doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
I am good. I'm good. We was having a conversation off mic um, that we finna now bring on mic, so y'all can hear the conversation. It was a good conversation. We was talking about her upbringing because today's topic is growing up with parents addicted to a substance or alcohol or whatever. Um, that's the topic of today, and I brought her on here because I want her to share her story, um, so it can be an inspiration to somebody out there who may be going through what she has already been through. And I do believe wholeheartedly that her story and her telling her story is going to help someone out there. So, Minister Lyons,
Yes.
pick up where you want to pick up from, where we started up.
As we were talking about earlier, having parents who are addicted to some type of substance.
Mm-hmm.
Both of my parents were alcoholics,
Mm-hmm.
and growing up with in that type of atmosphere was very hard for me and my siblings. Um, I was, like I said earlier, I was raised by my dad.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and my mom and dad was together for a while. I guess because something happened, somebody called social services. Me and my sibling, my sister is 2 years younger than me. Both of us
Mm-hmm.
went to foster care. Um,
How old was you then when y'all went to foster
I
care?
I want to say I was like maybe 5,
Mm-hmm.
and my sister was 3.
Okay.
I know we was very young.
Mm-hmm.
I think we was in there for like maybe 3 years or so,
Mm-hmm.
and my dad got custody of us, and we went to go live with him. My
Mm-hmm.
mom wasn't really stable enough, or like I told you earlier, my mom had lost her eyesight, so she
Yeah.
wasn't really physically able to take care of us.
Mm-hmm.
She could have, because we was taught early age, because my mom was blind,
Mm-hmm.
and so we were taught at an early age how to help her.
Gotcha.
And when we walk her anywhere,
Mm-hmm.
how to walk her up steps,
Mm-hmm.
over, manhole holes in the
Mm-hmm.
ground, not to let her step and stuff, or when we was at home, how to help her like with canned goods and sure what things were.
Mm-hmm.
My mom was very handy. Excuse me, she was very handy, and she could do just still cook, clean, do all kind of stuff. We just
Mm-hmm.
had to help her a
A
little bit here and
sister.
there. Yes, and she can get around better than anybody that can see.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, growing up in that was very hard. And I guess a man raising daughters,
Mm-hmm.
my dad was a very protective man. And he provided, and he made sure we had what we had. We might have not have stayed in the best of places,
Mm-hmm.
but he made sure it was livable.
Gotcha.
And he provided, make sure we had food, roof, somewhere to sleep, or and it was, it was clean. He kept it
Mm-hmm.
clean. He wasn't no, he was very clean. But him being a man trying to raise girls, I think was, looking back on it now, was kind of hard.
Mm-hmm.
He did the best he could, but the alcohol didn't help.
Mm-hmm.
And like we was talking earlier, I said that my daddy got mean when he drank.
Mm-hmm.
He got mean. Depending on, some people say they can't drink white, they can't drink brown.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes a combination of that made him like, the Hulk. Sometimes he got
Mm-hmm.
very angry, and he he was just mean sometimes, and he sometimes, you ever seen that type of parent or that person that, okay, like you when you was growing up
Yeah.
and you did something and your parent didn't address it right then,
Mm-hmm.
and then later on you did something else and they brought that up and what you did before
Mm-hmm.
that up too,
Everything
and you
else
get a
up.
whipping for all of
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
That was my dad sometimes. Yeah, and I remember when you did such and you get a whipping for that too.
Mm-hmm.
But it was like them angry moments for him with us, uh, it made me feel like he didn't love us.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I can remember plenty of times. I know I just gave you some examples earlier when I was talking
Mm-hmm.
about some of the things that my dad and mom did.
Mm-hmm.
When I was telling you that even when my daddy drank so much, he pulled a gun out on me,
Yeah.
and I think I had to be about about 11 or 12 years old, somewhere around in there. And I can remember he was boiling some hot water on on the oven, and we stayed in the projects then, so we had the gas stoves. And so he boiling hot water, and he was mad at because his girlfriend left, and we got blamed for it and said it was our fault because we asked her a question or something. So he blamed us instead of blaming himself, the reason why she left. But he had to put the blame on somebody instead of facing the reality of why she left. And it wasn't because of it, it was because of him and how his attitude towards some things or whatever. And I can remember that he got mad. He got mad at my sister, and I was always at my sister's protector because she was 2 years younger than me. So when he got mad at her, I would try to protect her because she was a little bit more fragile than I was. I was kind of more a little tougher. Now my daddy's oldest child. My daddy has 7. I'm the oldest one out of the 7. And so he looked at me. He was about ready to pour the hot water on her, and I'm just like, Daddy, please don't do that. And he looked at me and he pointed the gun at me. He said, "B, I'll kill you." And I'm just like, oh Lord, my life is about to end. And I'm like, how can a dad get that angry at his child to where you want to hurt your child because you're hurting because of a relationship? And so I didn't understand that.
Having your dad pull that gun on you in that moment, how did you feel?
I was hurt. I was angry. I was confused. Because as I said earlier, how can you being my dad want to hurt me? Like I said, I didn't understand the things of alcohol. I seen what it made him, how it made him react, but I really didn't understand the fullness of it until later on in life. Once I got saved and got in church and started understanding the difference, in different situations and spirits and different things of that nature. I didn't understand how this substance can make people change like this. I didn't understand that because I'm like, wait a minute, why, why my daddy and why I got to go through this? So I was hurt. I began to develop doing all this with both of my parents. I began to develop this mechanism, this defense mechanism, to where my attitude started changing. I got stubborn. I got real. I think I built up this wall within me. I love my parents. I love both of my parents dearly, but I built up this thing in me to where, because of so many things I went through with them, so I wouldn't get hurt. And after a while, I became numb, kind of to it. I hated my daddy for a long time. Behind that, my mom too, for a long time before I really understood why they drink and what happened behind the drinking, what causes the drinking.
The root.
Right. And so before understanding that part, I was hurt. I was angry. You could tell in my behavior at school, with certain things. But like I told you earlier, I began to gravitate to other things. Just wanted to feel loved. Now, my daddy was the type, now, don't get me wrong, he would hug us, or when we was hurt, he protected us. But at the same time, I wanted him to show us more of the love. Because when the drinking came about, the angry words came about, the discouragement came about, the negative words came about from both parents when we're drinking.
So when they would drink, basically, that's when the demeaning would start.
Yes.
Okay.
I was called out my name, or I was stupid. You never gonna be nothing. You're gonna be just like your mama. And my daddy, sometimes I think he just didn't take responsibility for his actions. He blamed my mama for it. She blamed him for it. The person across the street got blamed for it. It was never his fault in certain things.
One took accountability.
Yes. And then too, I think, once he came to himself, but he didn't know how to, now sometimes he apologized.
Yeah.
And then sometimes he didn't even remember what he did. That's the part that got me. When he didn't remember what he did from the night before, how angry you got, and you know, to where you didn't put your hands on us, you didn't smacked us, or you didn't hit us, or you didn't took the belt and you whipped us to where we got whelps, and you trying to figure out why we looking at you sideways the next day, and you don't even remember what you did or said. Them the days that really hurt the most. Them hurt the most. With my mom, I think because I dealt with my dad so much, my mom was a tad bit little easier. And the reason why I think she was a tad bit easier, because her words were hurt, but I was so used to how my daddy reacted, I kind of ignored her. And because she wasn't able to, and my mom didn't believe in physically, she didn't even physically discipline us. She didn't whoop us or nothing like that. She didn't believe in that. She just believed on putting you on punishment. That didn't last long because, you know, we was always wanting to do something because we know she couldn't see, so how she gonna keep us in the house?
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So we took advantage of that sometimes. But my mom would do a lot of the talking, and we would kind of just ignore that. I'm not saying it didn't bother me, but my daddy had did so much damage to when by the time I got to my mama, because after I left home, I was 18 when I left home. After I graduated high school, went to go live with my mom. Her stuff kind of rolled off a little bit. But at certain times it did hurt because I'm like, I want this relationship with my mom that I can't have with my dad, but I can't get it from her either.
Right.
So when you got parents like this, you start searching for that love and affection in other places. And mine was relationships.
Now, what was your view on men at that point? Like, as far as, oh, this is the man I should be with. Growing up in that household that you grew up in, with the father that you grew up with, experiencing the things that you went through with him, the good and the bad. What was your view of men?
The relationship, if a man showed me any type of kindness or love or affection, or told me I was pretty, because I never felt like I was pretty, because my self-esteem was shot because of all of the negative words that was said to me growing up. I took to that. I laugh at myself because, you know, both of my parents was very vocal. They was very bold people. They told you what was on their mind. They tell you where to go, how to go, when to get there. They didn't bite their tongues about nothing. I was very shy growing up. And it's so crazy because I'm like, you know, you got these two parents that say whatever they want to say, and you come out shy.
Yeah.
And I don't know if because all the breakdown that was inside of me made me scared to talk and be, you know, to stand up for myself. So the standing up for myself part was a thing too. I got ran over in relationships because I wanted that love and to be in love so bad that men took advantage of me in relationships. I would, you know, had dated this one guy. He was a little bit older than I was, and he took advantage of me, you know, far as not like nothing like rape or nothing like that, but he took advantage of me emotionally and manipulated me because I wanted to please him and because I wanted to be this good girlfriend. And, you know, like I said, he was a little bit older than me, so he knew how to manipulate me. He knew what to say to me. He knew how to emotionally make me do what he wanted me to do. Yeah. Because I just wanted that love. And I had a habit of, I was attracted, the good guys I wasn't attracted to. I was attracted to the bad boys. I loved the thugs, so to speak. I did. I was more attracted to them. Yeah. And I think because of their boldness, because I wanted to be that bold person, like my parents was, but I didn't have that bold spirit at that moment. And so I attracted myself to that type of relationship. Now they didn't like put physically harm me, but they emotionally and manipulated me. And I drew myself to that type of relationship. Gotcha. You know, the drug dealers. You know, I don't know what it was about them. It was just how they maneuvered themselves. You know, and I think it was because of the hurt, the pain I went through, and I just wanted to. I was angry, but I didn't know how to stand up for myself.
Gotcha.
And it was something about their boldness. It didn't matter whether it was in a positive form or a negative form. It was just something about that boldness that I wanted, that I attracted myself to in that person. And even in women and females, I wanted the mother figure. So I attracted myself to the woman who had that nurturing thing about her that I didn't get from my mama.
Right.
So and I'm not saying that was always a good thing, but it was in certain aspects. I learned different things, even through the relationships my daddy had. I learned certain things, the relationships my mama had, So I think I took something from everywhere. And it will confuse you if especially if you don't know where to put all that.
Yeah.
Because you're just doing what you're seeing.
Right.
The jacked up relationships my daddy had. You sometimes you start repeating what your parents do. I found myself repeating what my parents did.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, so how old were you when you had your first child?
I was 21 when I gave birth to my oldest son. I was 20 when I got pregnant, and his dad was a hot mess, so to speak. He was a thug. My first child, yes, because I was still attracted to that atmosphere.
How long were you guys together?
3 years. He had just got out of jail when I met him. And, he's supposed to be in that one night stand, but he turned into a 3-year relationship, and I had a child. The relationship was very toxic. Very toxic.
From start to finish?
Very toxic. From the start, it was okay at the beginning. People warned me about him, but I didn't want to listen because I'm thinking I'm this nice person, I can change him. And that's another thing that us women sometimes we, thinking because we're this certain type of woman, we can change a man. That's not true.
It's the same thing for people. Because men do the same thing. They feel like they can change a woman. I've done that, so I know exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah, yes, and I felt like I could change him, to be this, if he see my heart, because I'm still searching for that love, I call myself, he just going to be this one night person and I'm just be done with it. But, because how he appeared to me, he didn't let me see who he really was. And he manipulated. He would cook for me sometimes, or when he would come over, because at the time I was staying with my best friend at the time, and it was her cousin. She introduced me to him or whatever, and he because I didn't know who I was at that time, he made me feel special.
Yeah.
He made me feel special. He, give me something to eat, just do different things for me. Or when I came home from work, now he didn't work, reminds you, now he didn't work. He just got out of jail.
Yeah.
So I worked at the time. And when I would come home from work, he would be sitting in my room, because like I said, I stayed with my best friend at the time. So, I was, stayed with her and her 2 kids at that time. And she let me, I had one of the bedrooms in the projects. We was in Cleveland projects. And he would come over, and I come home, my room all smelly clean, and candlelights, and never had that. So I'm just like, even though I had been in relationships before then, he was just to do something different. So he appeared to be different. So I was attracted to that. And found out, no, he was very much, women need to pay attention to their intuition. I felt it, but I put it to the side. The red flags was very much there. I just kind of ignored it because I wanted somebody.
Right.
And I got pregnant. Like I said, I had my son at 21. Before I had my child, I moved into my own place. He lived with me, and it was crazy. This man stole money from me. I didn't know he was tooting powder. I didn't know. I knew he smoked weed, and he tried to be this little drug dealer. It wasn't successful at all. But he did what he did, and I accepted it. He lived with me, and I'm thinking he lived with me. Everything's gonna be good. This is my son's father. And even while I was giving birth to my child, he was still in my jury pawning it, getting money. You know, he was he cheated. He got another girl pregnant while we was together. He's like I said, he stole from me, stole jewelry from me. I used to have a lot of incidents with him, trying to break in my house, and he had sticky fingers. He did all kind of stuff. You name it, he did it. I found out a lot of stuff about it after we broke up.
Yeah.
Found out a lot about it. He did all kind of stuff. But my dad, around this time, my dad was still drinking, but my daddy was trying to get closer to the Lord at that time as well. And I can remember my daddy would tell me, Harriet, you know, since I had this child, I need for you to go back to church. And it's one thing I can say positive about my dad. When we was growing up, my dad made sure we stayed in church.
Okay.
He made sure whether he went or not, we had to go to church. And when we stayed in the projects, there was a church right across the street from us, so we went to that church. Yeah. We would get up in the morning, put our clothes on, and he trained us enough to do that. And we go across the street to the church. Whether he went or not, we still had to get up and go to church. Okay. So he always implemented some type of foundation in us, even with the Bible. You know, he taught us how to understand it. He had Bibles that he would, you know, we were reading. He was playing scripture. He was trying to find his way through, but at the same time, it's like he was battling with this alcoholic demon he was dealing with. He was battling. But so he would always tell me growing up, Harriet, take your kids to church, take your child to church, take your child to church. And I'm thinking, I'm grown, I do what I want to do, I ain't going to church, you know, until things got really, really crazy in this relationship. And God, I think, had allowed it to push me to where I needed to go. So it got real live and crazy. It did. And I think that just watching them toxic relationships that my parents had, and I went into that same area, not knowing. My daddy didn't really stop to teach me what to look for in a man. I'm just trying to raise y'all girls the best way I can, and watching his behavior, it's like we attracted ourselves. Me and my sister both attracted ourselves to these toxic relationships that. From this relationship to that relationship to this relationship to that relationship to this relationship. So relationship after relationship was not, you know, I ain't saying it was all bad, but it wasn't all good either. It wasn't all good.
So let's go back a little bit.
Okay.
To when you found out you was pregnant the first time. Where was you at and what was you thinking when you found out?
Oh boy, that's a very interesting story. I can remember I had made an appointment because, you know, of course, when a woman doesn't have her cycle, you know, because mine was very regular. And my friend kept telling me, "You pregnant?" No, I'm not. You know, I'm 20 years old. No, I'm not. You know, I don't know nothing about being pregnant. No. And she kept saying it, and I was like, "Okay, I'm gonna make me an appointment." Went to the doctor, and I can remember at the time where social service is now, it used to be the health department. It was the Reynolds Health Center at that moment. And so went there. And I'm thinking, you know, because I think I had caught a cold or something at the same time. So I'm thinking, okay, I done caught a bug. I'm throwing up, but, you know, I'm sick. But didn't have a clue. Yeah. And so I asked him, I said, well, you know, my friend kept saying, "You pregnant?" So I said, well, what if I am? What are we going to do? He was like, well, you know, he was making like he was excited about it. Remind you, now he already has kids already about other women. He, you know, and you know, me being who I was and very naive, you wasn't even in these children's lives for real. Yeah. So, and I'm thinking, you know, wasn't clicking with that you know, okay, is he gonna take care of your kid? But you know, he made all these promises or whatever. So I'm like, okay, went to the doctor, and the doctor came and said, "Miss Lyons, congratulations, you pregnant." I said, "On what?" "You're pregnant." I say, "With what?" "And with a baby." And I think I was like maybe a month, 4 weeks, something like that. No, I would think I was 5 weeks at that point. And I was like, you sure, ma'am? Yes, we did this like 3 times. Yeah, you're pregnant.
Wow.
And I'm just like, I'm just like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? So I'm nervous, scared. Everything, a lot of stuff running through my head. And I'm just like, okay. So I told him, and he was like, he seemed like he was excited. But I was so, it messed me up so bad. Now, at the time I told you, like I said, I stayed with my best friend. She stayed in Cleveland Projects. And that's where the Reynolds Health Center with us. So that's kind of like in walking distance in a sense. And I caught the bus there, but I walked back to her house because I was just so, it messed me up so bad that they told me I'm pregnant. I'm just like, no, I got to walk this off. And so he seemed to be excited, and I started coming around with it. I told my dad, and my dad was, he was excited. He finna have his first grandchild, so he excited. My mom wasn't too thrilled at the moment, because she's like, okay, you just, you young, So I'm like, she said, well, you grown, you out on your own, so and she's like, well, I'll be there for you. And both of them was there, both parents was there. Did the best they could. They helped me a lot with a lot of stuff with my child. But I was excited because I'm thinking this, me thinking in my mind, being naive, that this is going to keep him with me. But it didn't. I mean, he was around, but he cheated. He was still doing what he wanted to do. He was still lying. And I was just, like I said, just so naive because I just wanted that love. I just wanted that, I just wanted, okay, this is the father of my child. Naturally, you want to be with him. And he took me through so many changes. Oh, my goodness. He, during my pregnancy, I went through so many things, but I still stayed with him. Thinking he'll change. His other children's mothers, they warned me. I got this. I'm not like y'all. He'll see my heart and he'll change.
That's what we all be saying.
It didn't change him.
I'm different.
Very. And I assume, I was. I was from what he was used to. I was. Yeah. But that didn't stop him. That didn't change him because I was different. It changed me. I even had a nice gentleman that, oh my gosh, to this day, this man would have took very good care of me, but I wasn't attracted to him. He was a nice guy. I wasn't attracted to the nice guys. I was attracted to the thugs. So he wasn't thuggish enough for me. But he would have he actually looked out for me and my son when my son's dad didn't do nothing. Buy Pampers, didn't do nothing. This man looked out. But I just consider him as a friend.
So
but
you threw the nice guy in the friend category, and the one that
didn't really care nothing about me. I wanted him. Yeah. That's kind of how that went.
Okay, gotcha. Go ahead.
So it got, and I'm thinking, even like I said, when I moved into my own apartment, I'm thinking that would have been good. We got our own place. Even though my name was on the lease, his name wasn't on nothing.
You got your own
place,
right.
But, I try to, us.
Included, yeah.
He took me through so many changes. Oh, my goodness, he took me through a lot of changes. I went through everything you could think of. It seemed like I went through it.
Now, he's still not working?
To this day?
No, I'm talking about during this time.
He worked the little ends and odds under the table jobs.
Okay.
And he still trying to drug deal. I'm still paying all the bills. And every now and again he would bring money in, and we'll splurge a little bit, do a little, do certain things. But I was the main one because I was working a full-time job. When I had my son, my mama came live with me.
Okay.
So my mom was a big help to help me with my son. My child's father, he would, have you seen that person that always got all these little schemes and scams to try to come up with stuff? He was that person. They would come up with all these different things and, to try to make money, and it didn't work. And I'm just like, just get a job. But he didn't want to get a job because he didn't want them, because child support was after him. And so he didn't want to pay the child support. So he would do all these little under the table jobs, whether it was painting or cutting grass or helping somebody do this or whatever. Or like I said, still trying to sell drugs. He still stayed in and out of jail. He was still in and out of jail. When he would go, I would go get him out. They kept stop getting him out, and I was just like, "Wait, that's my son's daddy," you know. And he would, convincing me of all this stuff, and he would cheat on me. He'd go to jail, and I'm mad at him, and he would call me. I'd be the first person he called because he knew I would get him out, and he'd sweet talk me, and I kept falling for the okie doke.
Yeah.
Back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And until one day, I was just tired of it. And I can remember the day when I was just so tired. I said, God, I'm just so tired of this behavior. It's getting on my nerves. I'm just ready to get out of this. But I didn't know how to get out of it. Because every time I would put him out or make him leave, I let him back in. I would miss him. And I can remember praying one day. And I said, God, if you get this man out of my life, I promise you I will not go back. And at that time, I went to church here and there, but I hadn't given my life to Christ for real yet. And I can remember, sometimes when your parents tell you things and then it don't hit you right then until a situation comes up and then you start remembering what they told you.
Yeah.
That's how I had that moment. I can remember my daddy say, Harriet, pray, talk to the Lord, pray. He hears you pray. I went in my bathroom one day and I prayed and I just cried out to God. I said, God, please get this man away from me. This man, I can't do this no more. I'm tired of this, because when I tried to move on from him, he would threaten the new person, or he would try to threaten me and say things that make me scared, or you come around my house at night, trying to come through my house in the middle of the night, coming, doing all kind of crazy stuff, and I would call the police on you and take 50 B's out on you, and it just got messy.
Yeah.
And this particular day I called, I talked to the Lord. I said, God, please get this man away from me. I can't do this anymore. If you get him away from me, I promise you I will not go back this time. And I meant what I said. And so, I remember my cousin came and got me that day. And when I went to her house, I just had to get out the house. I went to her house. When I came back home, I had a car. Didn't know how to drive the car, but I had a car. He drove the car and took me wherever I needed to take me. And, he had the car. And this particular night, I came home like real late, like 12 o'clock at night. And I was just like mad. And I was just like, okay, I'm going to see how he feel, And I know he probably looking for me and I ain't answering the phone. I think this when the cricket phones just had came out. So I had a cell phone. Yeah. But, I think it was a flip phone might have been. And so I came home and I seen my car sitting in front of the house, in front of my apartment. And I was like, I said, I bet you looking for me. So I'm like, yeah, he probably looking for me, trying to figure out where I am. And I seen all the lights off in my apartment. I'm just like, okay, this is strange. My car's sitting here, but why the lights off in my house? I said, he probably in there trying to see if he gonna scare me or find me with somebody or whatever. Excuse me. And so, goes in the house, and this pitch dark in the house, and nobody's in the house. I'm like, okay, why did he park the car right there? So my neighbor from the back came out and said, Harriet, here go your car keys. And I'm just like, why you got my car keys? He told me to give them to you. Where is he at? He got locked up. What you mean he got locked up? What happened? He got locked up. And he told me to give you the keys. And I'm just like, where did they lock him up at? And I think they got him somewhere, made him come and park the car, and they took him. He was gone for a whole year. He called me, and I answered the phone. I'm like, what you do? He told me what happened, and I was like, this is my chance to get away from him. So I stopped accepting calls. He would write letters. I'm like, I can't do you no more. And that's how I got away from him. Through that process. Because usually he would go, I go get him out, find a bondsman. I say, no, I'm not doing this no more. I made a vow to God that if you get me out of this, I won't go back. He was gone for almost about 2 years. He was gone. That's how I got away from him.
Wow.
To get out that relationship, that toxic relationship for 3.5 years I was in. And, I found out a lot of stuff he was doing in the process of our relationship that I didn't know. After the fact. God really saved my life. Because I found out all the things he was doing. Yeah. And it was, oh my gosh, if I tell you, you'd be like, what in the world? He was really doing some messed up stuff. He was doing things with prostitutes, doing things with strippers, doing things with whomever. Female wise, whomever, you get what I'm saying.
I do. I got you.
And I'm just like, this man could have killed me.
In more ways than one.
Right. He could have killed my son. I've been at times because of the drug dealing activity. I almost got shot in my car because people was used to him driving, and I was driving that particular. This when I learned how to drive, and I was in the car. Me and my son was in the car. My son was about maybe one. Took my son to the doctor. I had drove down this certain street looking for him to let him know we went to the doctor. This is what they said. Blah blah blah. I parked the car. I was asking somebody had they seen him, and somebody seen the car and thought it was him, and they was getting ready to shoot at the car. And because I rolled down my window and my son's back window, they seen it was me and my son and not him.
Yeah.
And I found it out later that they was finna shoot the car up, but they seen it was me and they didn't take the shot.
Wow.
So.
That's rare
Very.
nowadays, because now they go ahead and shoot it.
No hesitation. Wow. And like I said, I mean, I know we kind of veered off from the subject just a tad bit, but that's just how life had been for me.
Yeah.
Growing up in these, things with my parents, because of their behavior, I had developed behavior. Because of their behavior, I developed this low self-esteem about myself. I didn't find out till later on in life, once I got saved and all these different things, I found out about why, especially my mom's side, why my mom drank the way she did. Didn't understand it. And for a long time, I hated my parents. I hated them. And that's a strong word when you say you hate. Now, I loved them to a certain extent, but I hated how I got treated.
Yeah.
And some of that behavior rubbed off on me and how to treat my children. Now, I didn't believe in, whipping my kids to the point to where you got whips and different things of that nature. And because we had bruises and stuff, and, what goes on in this house, stay in this house, and don't you go telling the people at the school my business.
Right.
Now, you all bruised up and you hurting because you done got a beating for the night before, and you can't tell nobody.
Right.
Because you tell somebody, that's when the police, social service start coming in and asking questions. So we were scared to talk. So I found out later why. Well, pretty much both of them. When I found out the history of both of my parents, their parents, that helped me to understand why they were the way they were, which helped me to get deliverance and healing once I understood why. It was a long time. Pretty much, I think I didn't really find that out about my mama until after she passed. And
when did she pass?
She passed in 2004. My dad died in 2006. So it was 2 years apart from each other.
So, were you able to forgive them before they transitioned?
My mom, no. Now, I had a little time with my mom versus my dad. And because I think once I got a little older, I became a little bit closer to my dad versus my mom. And I think because after my daddy gave his life to Christ and started changing, me and my daddy started growing closer in a relationship. Because by this time I'm in church and I done got saved and we talking about the Lord now.
Right.
Never really talked about the past of what happened in the past and the different things he did in the past of the talking, how he talked to us, or the whippings or anything of that nature. We never talked about none of that. So I ain't gonna say I got complete closure with him or my mom. Now my mom had just a tad bit more time with because she went into hospice and she died of cirrhosis of the liver. My dad had a brain aneurysm. So both of my parents, I was never really, not while they were living, I didn't resolve none of that.
Okay.
So I still was angry. Now I loved them, but I was still angry. I buried it, but I was still angry. And how I knew I was still angry because the stuff started coming out with my kids. Along with some other things I hadn't mentioned that happened to me in my childhood through all of that.
Yeah.
that I started projecting onto my kids. Some of the things how my daddy treated us, and strictness, real strictness, and I started doing it to my son, to where I had this tight grip on him, to where the boy couldn't breathe, and I had to be reminded, okay, let the reins loose a little bit, ma'am, and can you just listen to understand him? Because my daddy was the type, what I say goes.
Yeah.
That's, you had some of the parents, what I say goes, don't you ask no questions, don't you back talk, you ain't supposed to have no feelings about nothing.
You ain't got no voice nowhere.
No, nothing. And I was never able to, I could never, ever was able to, I might be, saying this is the wrong English, but I was never able to voice my opinion.
Yeah, go ahead.
So, and if you ask me my opinion, I better say what you like to hear. Because if I said how I really felt, then you got upset about it, and then I get another whooping. Then I was ungrateful. You know what I'm saying? So, I was never very able to with my dad. Now, my mom, a little bit, My dad, no. You can't, don't you tell me how you feel. You heard what I said, and what I say goes, don't you talk back, and that's the end of it. You say what I say, you do it. Regardless of how I'm acting, you do what I say. And I'm like, well, you ain't even doing it, but I couldn't say that.
Yeah.
So I was never close. So all these emotions. And growing up, all I had to talk to, the only person I could talk to was my sister. She's 2 years younger than me, because we going through the same stuff together, so we talking about it amongst each other. I couldn't really tell my mama, because my mama get so teed off about it, the way she tell my daddy what we said, and then we get another whipping.
Right.
She didn't know how to keep it to herself. She didn't like it, but at the same time, she knew she couldn't really do too much about it, because he had custody, full custody. And certain people in my family I couldn't talk to, because, things get back to my daddy. So it was certain people I could talk to about certain things that I knew wouldn't get back to him, but I honestly didn't have an outlet. I did develop a diary, and I wrote stuff out. That's the only way I can kind of get what I can get out. And and the hurt, the pain, the anger. I can remember one day my dad had came in. He had been drinking one particular day, and at this time we stayed in Fairchild. It was Fairchild then, apartments. And I can remember he had came in. He had drinking. It's like during the day he had been drinking. It was on the weekend.
Yeah.
During the day now, while it was light outside, because you could go out at night. But during the day he had came in drinking. I don't know what he was drinking, but he had this attitude about something. My sister did something that wasn't serious. It triggered him.
Yeah.
To where he got so upset at my sister, to where he's mad at her. He's calling her all kind of names. He didn't whipped her. My sister was a skinny little somebody. She, like I said, I was a little bit more tougher than her. And she was kind of fragile to a certain extent. He whooped her so bad. And then I can remember, and I'm telling you, people never knew we was going through any of this. And the wife at the time he had, she really couldn't stop him, because then that anger would come towards her, and then he want to put his hands on her. So I can remember he whooped my sister so bad, and I was so angry with him. And I can remember him lifting my sister up and told her, he said, B, I'll kill you, and I'll throw you out this window. And she's crying, and I can't help her, because I'm like, okay, if I try to help her, he's going to try to kill me. And I didn't know what to do, because I was protecting my sister.
Right.
And I got so angry. And I can remember he went and laid on the couch and went to sleep. And I was in the kitchen washing dishes. And we had this, like, butcher knife with the wood handle on it. It was like that butcher knife that you had for years, you know. And I can remember, and I said, I'll kill him. I'm going to kill him. And I had made up in my mind. I was sitting at the sick. I was crying. I was hurting. I was so mad. I was angry. And I said, I'm finna kill this man. I'm finna kill him. And I had made my mind up to kill him. I took the butcher knife. I washed it off. And at the time, my dad she was my stepmom at the time. She was in the kitchen, and she was standing there, and I'm just crying. She's like, Harriet, it's going to be okay. I was like, no, he hurt my sister. My sister in the room crying. She's hurt. I can't even really comfort her like I want to. I'm like, I can't take this no more. I'm finna kill him. I take the knife. I go in. When I say he in the living room sleep, he dead to the world sleep. He don't even know what's going on around him. He sleep. I goes in, I had a knife, and she didn't really see me with the knife, and I goes into the living room, And I'm walking towards him with the knife because I'm finna stab him.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I can't say how that would have turned out, but I'm finna kill him.
Yeah.
And she called me. She said, Harriet, no. I said, I'm finna kill this blankety blank blank because he hurt my sister. And it took me a minute to get over that. Because he really hurt me and he hurt my sister.
Yeah.
And it took me a long time. And I was so angry with him for that for a long time. But today, now I can say that God really has healed my heart. Because now I understand because I know the why now.
Yeah.
You know, not saying what he did was right and not saying he was justified because he wasn't. But I understand the behavior now of the alcohol. And I understand the background behind the alcohol of why they started it in the first place. Because I didn't know the history, of my parents. Because certain things my daddy would talk about, when you ask them questions about your grandparents and this, that, and the other, certain things my daddy wouldn't talk about. And one of them was my grandmother, my daddy's mom. My dad was raised by his dad and his grandmother. They wasn't raised by his mom. Now I'm raised by my dad, but I'm not raised by my mom.
Yeah. Wow.
You know what I'm saying? So now you got this little cycle going on. And so all the things his daddy implemented in him, and even though, I think it was my daddy, was like 5 of them with his siblings or whatever. Now, even though I got this big family on my mama's side now, but my daddy's side, so everything that was implemented in him, he's carrying over to his kids, and everything's being pushed into us, even though we're girls, you know what I'm saying? And now, you know what I'm saying, and I'm getting it from both parents,
Both sides.
In some form or fashion. So it has a tendency of shaping you in a certain mindset. So for a long time, I felt I had no confidence in myself, Jarett. I wasn't, like I told you earlier, I wasn't made to believe I could have or do anything. I felt like what was dealt to me, that's all life had to offer me. And this is it. This is what I got. I ain't meant to be great, and greater work shall I do. I wasn't made to dream. You know what I'm saying? You know how you get the vision and creativity? Now, I thought about stuff, but I didn't think I could have it. That ain't for me. That's for other people. And I watch other people have stuff, and I didn't think I was worthy enough to have it. Because of them.
Wow.
So, it's a lot. So, it's a lot. Once I got in church and started learning about the Lord, that's kind of when.
Take me there. Take me to the point where you truly gave yourself to Christ for real.
I could say exact day. I can remember, where I work at now. I was working there. Well, I've been there at my job now 6 years, but I worked there before then. I started there working in there that time in 2000. My son was young, still with his dad on the craziness. And once me and him, I got past him and got over that situation. I can remember these young ladies I worked with, and one of them was a minister, or assistant pastor or something to that nature. And she would invite me to her church all the time. I had another lady that worked with me at that time. She was in church on her husband. She would, invite me to church with them, and I went to their church a couple of times. And I noticed once I got in there, it was like I could feel the difference. I could feel my safe haven. I could feel the difference in my. I felt the peace of God. And I kept saying, my daddy, like I said, my daddy always from time we was young up until we got grown, even to the point to even when he died, he always talked about make sure you stay in church, keep your kids in church, go to church. And I can remember at this time, this young lady, she kept inviting me to church, and I kept making excuses not to go. I'm going to come. And one day, and because all the hell I was going through, and she invited me this particular time. She said, well, this prophet coming from out of town, and she's going to be there, and I would love for you to come. And even though this young lady, she would always present herself, you know what I'm saying? She was like a big sister.
Yeah.
And I used to watch her. She would sit there and read her Bible, and she would talk about the Lord. And, I would start asking questions and, started wondering. And, and she would say different things, and she would explain it to me. And then I started feeling excitement in my spirit. And at the time, I didn't know what I was feeling, but I was like, okay, and I can feel the pull. But, I didn't understand that at that moment.
Yeah.
And I can remember she kept on inviting me regardless whether I kept making an excuse or not. She kept inviting me. And like I said, she said this particular day, this prophet came in, and she was like, this prophet such and such is going to be at the church, and I would love for you to come. And I'm like, well, what a prophet, didn't understand all that stuff then. Yeah. And she was telling me different things, and I was like, okay. And I said, well, I ain't going to tell her I'm going to go. I say, I don't want to tell her I'm going to come, and I ain't going to come. And I wasn't going to go. And I think I had called her, and, I think I was driving. Yeah, I was driving around that time. So she told me what church was, and I made it. It was on a Friday night, and I went. And this prophet came, and she called me up, and she started, telling me some things, and I'm like, in my mind, how this lady knows. I don't even know this lady. I don't even really barely know any people in the church. I knew a couple of them because I worked with them, and this was their church, their family church at that time. And she prophesied some stuff to me, and I'm just like, in my mind, she know this. Who told her? And she said, baby, are you saved? And I say, no. She said, would you like to give your life to Christ? And at that time, Jarett, I was so tired. I was so tired. I was like, God, it got to be a better way than this. Yeah. I'm just tired of everything I'm going through. And like I said, there was some times that I could hear my daddy's voice about church. And I'm just like, okay, God, if it's going to be something better than what I'm living, then okay. Yeah. And right then and there, I gave my life to Christ. And she said, do you have a church home? And I was like, no. And so I came back that Sunday. And like I said, I got saved that Friday. I came back that Sunday. And I started going to church from that point on. I ended up going to their church. I became a member of their church at that moment. And I started seeing a change come about in my life. I really started seeing a change come about. Still kind of straddling the fence a little bit, but I felt that, I could feel the change coming about because I was so tired of where I was. To the point now, I didn't mention this earlier, but I had those before I even, before I gave my life to Christ, even before I went to this young lady's church, I contemplated suicide. Because I felt like nobody cared about me, nobody loved me. And I contemplated it. I was in my 20s. Okay. I was in my early 20s. I had to be about 25-ish, 26, somewhere around in there. And I contemplated suicide. And I was like, I was sitting there, I was so depressed. Now, then, we didn't call it depression. Like we got a name for it now. Yeah. It wasn't, because this was in the 90s. So, we didn't say, because I'm depressed. I just knew, I just knew something was going on within me. And I would stay in the house. I would stay in the bed all day. If I had to go to work, I'd be in the bed. I didn't want to do nothing. I didn't want to go around nobody. I didn't want to do nothing. I was just feeling lost. I was feeling just like unloved. I don't understand why this is happening to me. I got this child I'm raising by myself. His daddy doing this. This is happening. I barely got money to do this, and this. And I contemplated it. Let me tell you what stopped me, though, because of the simple fact, I'm scared of needles. I'm scared of knives. And I don't like taking pills. So I was like, well, ain't no point in me doing it because I don't like doing none of this. I can barely like taking cold medicine. And I'm not a person that just, I can do vitamins for so long. I don't like taking all that stuff. So, but I contemplated it. And I was like, and the first thing that came to my mind was, well, if you do it, who's going to take care of your son? His daddy can't do it because if his daddy get him, he's going to corrupt him. Your mama can't do it because she's got a handicap. She'll do it. She'll do it. Your daddy will try it. Your daddy will do it, but why put that off on him? They're not going to raise him. And I thought about, okay, well, my daddy ain't going to raise my son because if he's raised like I was raised then, it's going to be very hard for him. So that's what made me think, who's going to raise your kid? I got this one child. Who gonna raise your son? Who gonna take care of him if you leave this earth? Thought about too when my dad said, if you kill yourself, you're going to hell. So I'm like, I don't want to go to hell. So we just gonna deal with this.
Yeah.
But I contemplated it, and it was a very hurtful moment for me because I felt like it was no way out. I felt like I didn't feel like I mattered. Cause I ain't dealt with all the hurt from my childhood.
Yeah.
I hadn't dealt with all that.
Yeah.
I swept it up under the rug, but I hadn't dealt with it. So I'm hurting. I don't know how to. I'm trying to draw myself to certain people. I'm trying to feel something here. I'm trying to feel. I'm numb, but I'm trying to feel something.
Yeah.
I'm trying to feel the love. I'm trying to feel like I mattered. I'm trying to feel like my life mattered. But I knew, okay, you're a mama. You got to take care of this kid. Who's going to take care of this child like you take care of this guy? Who's going to love this kid like you do? You know? So all these things are going through my mind, but I don't know how I'm going to do this. But I contemplated it. And that's a scary feeling when the enemy comes in and have you thinking nobody cares about you. Because I was told you're not going to be good for nothing. You know, I'm told you just good for laying on your back. Now, I wasn't that type of child, that person. You know, I didn't sleep around with everybody. You know what I'm saying? Had a few encounters, but, you know, you're going to be good for nothing. I'm hearing all this negativity in my life. I'm trying to be friends with people acting this way, the baby daddy acting this way, he got a girl pregnant, this happening, and I'm getting stupid phone calls. I'm just, it's just coming from these.
Right.
It seems like as soon as I get to a place to where I feel like I can breathe, I get kicked back down. So now I'm just like, what's the point?
So how far from when you contemplated suicide to the day you got saved, how far of a space was that?
I want to say it was some years in between that. If I can remember correctly, I want to say it was some years in between that. I kind of just pushed through it. I just pushed through it, and then sometimes I would try to do stuff to keep me occupied, so I wouldn't think about it. Or try to put myself around people so I wouldn't have to think about none of that. Family always help, when we do family stuff, or, I just do stuff to have a good time.
Yeah.
Whether I did drink at that time. I wasn't an alcoholic like my parents were, but I did drink. And drinking wasn't my thing. I just did it because I was trying to hang out with my friends, trying to smoke weed. I didn't know how to smoke the stuff. I didn't.
Yeah.
But just trying to fit in somewhere. Because my self-esteem is shot at this time. Remember, I'm trying to fit in somewhere. Where do I matter at? You're pretty. I don't feel beautiful. You can do this. I don't feel like I can do. I feel like I'm stupid. I'm dumb. I don't know how to. I'm just surviving.
Because that's the way you was programmed to think about what you were told coming up, and you embodied that.
I did.
In your adulthood.
I'm just surviving. I'm just trying to make it. I try to be positive, but on the inside, I was screaming for help. Somebody help me, somebody. And then I didn't trust a lot of people. My trust was shot because I got hurt. Every time I would try to get close to somebody, I would get hurt. Or try to make a friend, I get hurt. Or they would stab me in the back. I just constantly getting hurt by things. Like I said, the childhood situation, that kept popping up here and there. And I'm just like, God, I don't know how to deal with this. I can't tell nobody because who going to understand?
Right.
Who going to understand? You feel like nobody understands, put it that way. You can't definitely tell your parents because they going to flip.
Yeah.
They going to kill the whole one Salem coming down,
Right.
So you can't really, I felt like I didn't really have that person I can just spill myself to and just, and get some type of closure or some type of wisdom or it wasn't that for me because everybody was just so for themselves that I felt anyway. And I didn't know how to get what I needed. And like I said, between I got saved, now when I got saved, I started to I still wasn't fully understanding some things, but I could start feeling kind of that peace of God trying to enter my life. I can remember, I got excited about reading the Bible and doing different things, you know what I'm saying, of church. And I just wanted to fit in somewhere to where I mattered, to where my contribution made a difference.
Yeah.
Once I got in church, I wanted to do something, so I started ushering. That was fulfilling for me, because I feel like, okay, I'm doing something for the Lord, even though everything at that church at that moment, I didn't notice at that moment because I'm just excited just to be in church.
Right.
And to be, trying to get that relationship with the Lord. I was just excited about it. So, still not healed, still not delivered, but I'm just excited. I got tested on a whole lot because when you become a Christian, you definitely get tested on see if you really a Christian.
Yeah, boy.
So, but I think later, after my parents had passed and all these different things, excuse me, and I can't really say what my deliverance even came about. I can't even pinpoint when it came about for real, the issue that I had. Once I found out, I was in a healing process, but when I really learned about my parents' history, that's where it came together for me to help me to heal from that.
And when did you learn about their history?
Like I said, this was years after my parents had died. Years later. Matter of fact, I think I got this information probably maybe about 6 years ago. Maybe.
So it was recently then.
Kind of, yeah. So about 6 years ago, because like I said, nobody talks about them family issues.
Right.
What goes on.
Which is why they stay family issues.
Right. Them generational situations. Because nobody would talk about it. I asked questions, but nobody wanted to talk about it.
Right.
Once I started, actually, I'm going to tell you like this. Once I started learning, the ministry I'm in now, once I started learning about deliverance and healing, once I started learning them stages, that's when, because still I had some stuff I was still dealing with, trying to get through. But God got a way. He has a way of keep allowing that thing to keep popping up in your face. And I'm like, why does keep coming up? Because he wants you to deal with it.
Right.
He wants you to deal with it. And I didn't know how to deal with it. But he had to bring a person in my life, my pastor now, he had to bring her in my life now. I mean, at that point, and she came in right before my daddy passed. God put her in place for me right when my daddy died. Because he knew I was going to need somebody to help bring me through this. Because now, okay, my daddy passed, now I got my sister and brother that I'm finished raising on top of my kids. I already had my 3 kids that I'm in my household now.
Yeah.
Plus a relationship.
Yeah.
Plus a relationship I was in that God was trying to get me out of.
Yeah.
So now he brings her in my life and she's teaching me. Not saying now I got my foundation at the other place, but after a while I had to move on from there because, there was some stuff going on that, that shouldn't have been taking place. But God, it's time to move on now.
Yeah.
So I had to be taught. And, on top of what I had to be taught some stuff. I had to go to my next phase of life. And so, and God is just so awesome because he know what you need before you know what you need. And when he brought her around, and we tell this story now, like even when my dad passed and I had made up in my mind because my mama had died 2 years before and I'm still dealing with that issue. My dad is 2006 now. My daddy passes and I'm still dealing with this issue now. Yeah. I ain't completely got over this, but now this is another situation. I'm like, God, come on now. This ain't even been that long. I'm still fresh over here. And now this is happening. So actually, honestly, I had made up my mind. I ain't going back to church. I quit, God. Now, you let my mama pass. Now, I can deal with that. But my daddy, because me and my daddy had got this close relationship now. And my daddy understands me now. I get him now because he's saved now. He stopped drinking. We here now.
Yeah.
So, and I'm like, I feel like I didn't have that time. So now I'm just like, I'm mad now. I'm angry. I'm not going to church. I quit. I don't want to do this no more. I'm done. After this funeral is over, I'm done. I'm doing what I want to do. I don't care. I'm done. Made up my mind. I'm done. God was like, yeah, right. Okay. You had your little tantrum if you want to. Fine. That's okay. Well, here go my pastor. She wasn't my pastor at the time. Here she go. We had prayer at my house that day.
Yeah.
I don't know. You probably heard us talk about it. We had prayer at my house that day. And I'm thinking, yeah, okay, after this prayer, I'm thinking, it's going to be a little simple prayer after this. We done. I'm going to do what I want to do. Made up my mind that we doing it.
Yeah.
We prayed. And you know how that prayer went because you know who prayed. And when she prayed, by the way, my pastor, Apostle Gloria Lindsay, of Shondo Faith Deliverance International Incorporated.
That's it.
When she prayed, I'm telling you, God spoke, things happened, and I'm just like, okay, I can't turn this loose if I tried. Because God had already had a calling for my life, a purpose for my life. That's when I was like, okay, I can't quit.
Yeah.
I can't quit.
Yeah.
I can't give up. I got to keep it going. Now you got your sister and brother now in your house you raising. My sister was 12 when my daddy died. My brother was 17. And I had been helping my daddy with them throughout the years because their mom was gone. She was on drugs. So my daddy was raising them. So I'm helping my father with them. And so now they coming to live with me in my house with my 3 kids and this relationship I was in. God flipped the whole thing upside down in my house. For one, to get me away from that relationship I was in, that was in for 8 years. And to pull me away from that because now I'm ready to get closer to God even the more. Right. But I don't know how because I'm in this relationship.
Right.
And he was different too. He was more different than the other one was, So I'm still gravitating to stuff. And God trying to break this thing up. So stuff is happening. When I say all hell breaking loose at my house, all hell breaking loose at my house. Between my sister, that relationship, trying to raise these kids, trying to work, trying to maintain, trying to, get past my daddy's death, trying to help my sister through it because she's 12. She's getting in fights at school. She having all kind of issues. My brother, he about to graduate high school. He got this scholarship. And my daddy ain't there. He's dealing internally with stuff. I don't know how to fix none of it.
Wow.
I don't know how to fix none of it. I'm trying because I'm big sister. This is what big sister do. But God had Apostle Lindsay to step in. She wasn't my pastor at the time, but had up a step in to help me with this. Okay, to give me that wisdom, cause nobody else could do it.
Yeah.
Cause people give you what they think, their opinion, they this, they that, what you ought to do, what you might should have do. And nobody wasn't gonna raise my sister and brother. Nobody else would take them in, but me. Yeah. Even their mother's side, they didn't know their mama's side of the family, so nobody wanted to deal with that. My other siblings was gonna do it. I did it, cause I knew that's what my daddy would have wanted.
Right.
But through all of that, Jarett, it made me tougher. It made me see I could do anything when put under pressure. And that God is real. That God is awesome. Cause I'm telling you, it was nobody but the Lord who brought me through all of that. Now back when I was looking at it then, I was like, what in the world I got myself into? Lord, what is going on? Yeah. But through each individual situation, I know it was nobody but the Lord that brought me through this. Even through all that pain, that hurt and pain from my childhood. Each moment, God, it's like he picked me up, he brought me through it. I struggled. Even into my adulthood, I struggled. Still not knowing who I am. Still not realizing that you matter. Still not knowing that God loves you. Still not realizing that you can do all things through Christ that strengthens you. Still not realizing who I am in Christ and who he is in me. I've always been that type. I just survived. I just pushed through it and I just did it because I had to. And you know, people looked at me. She's that big sister. She's that tough sister. You know that person in your family that seemed like they got it all together.
Yeah.
That's how people looked at me.
Not even knowing what was going on behind
On
the
the
scenes.
inside, I'm tore up, Jarett. I'm tore up. I'm hurting on the inside.
Yeah.
But I gotta put this. You say we were talking about earlier how people fake it.
Uh-huh.
Oh, I faked it for a long time because I'm good.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm good. 'Cause, you know, my daddy made me tough.
Yeah.
My daddy made me to be tough. He raised me to be tough, and I had to be tough. So it's like my feelings and my emotions. I had to put that stuff to the side to do what I had to do for my family,
Yeah.
for my siblings, for me. You know, I had to do it. I didn't understand it, and I'm telling you, like I said, God knew what I needed because my daddy, and even through all of that, my daddy was like my backbone, my protector in the physical. He was that person. Okay, when stuff going right, I'm calling my daddy. Daddy, such and such, such and such, such and such. My daddy handled it. Now my daddy gone. Who gonna be that person?
Right.
So he had to put somebody just as equally strong as my daddy, which is my pastor today.
Yeah.
And when I say she's like a man, she's like the woman version of my dad.
Yeah.
You know, not with all that other stuff,
know what
but
you mean, yeah.
she's that stern
Yeah.
protector.
Say what she mean and mean what she say.
That's how my daddy was, straight down the middle. And if you wrong, you wrong. He wasn't putting up with that foolishness. He'd tell you what's what. But that's my pastor, and he knew he knew I was gonna need somebody who's gonna help push me and guide me. Cause now my daddy's gone. What am I gonna do? Who am I gonna lean on now? Who's gonna help me now?
Right.
So he had to send somebody like her to help me and to help me with my children and my siblings. And when I say she helped, still helping to this day. You know, and my siblings are grown now. You know, my kids, you know, except for one, grown now. So God, even it's just to tell somebody that whatever you go through, you have to lean on God. You got to trust God. Jarett, I don't know. I'm telling you, when I say the enemy was out to take my life, my mind, it's even stories in between all these other stories that I know we don't have time enough to go through. But when I say the enemy tried to take my mind and make me believe this about myself, but when God said this about me, once I gravitated and got hold to what God said about me versus what the world and the enemy had to say about me, then I was able to grab onto who I am in Christ and who Christ is in me. But to let somebody know that you really got to lean on God. You really got to lean on God. And even though God promised me this, and this, and even though in my visual sight I'm seeing this, and this ain't adding up what he's saying, it ain't even coming together. Wait a minute, God, what? And I'm quite sure we all done dealt with that. Okay, God promised me this, but why is this happening? I ain't seen the manifestation of what he's saying, but I had to learn, you know, God, he's there. It's coming. You just, you know, just hold on. But you got, definitely for one, you got to keep your faith. You got to believe. And you just got to hold on to God. And surround yourself with right people. That's a big thing.
Purpose people.
You got to.
Yeah.
You got to.
Tell us, here and now, I don't even know what the date is today.
Today's the 19th.
The 19th?
Yes.
Jesus, Christmas coming up. Tell us, who is Harriet Lyons today?
In some ways, I'm still finding that part out. But I can tell you, she is, outside of her being a mother, a sister to somebody, a cousin, a niece, a friend. She is an overcomer.
Yes.
She's an overcomer. She's strong. she realizes that she can do all things through Christ that strengthens her. Even though when times get hard, she know that she know who she's learning more and more about, and I'm saying but I'm learning more and more about who I am in Christ. Um, the she's confident. She's more confident when she used to be, and she's very more bolder than when she used to be. Thank you, Apostle Gloria Lindsay. She's more bolder than what she used to be.
Yes.
And now she understands who God is more and more. But she's an overcomer. If I can just use one word, I would say overcomer.
Overcomer.
And I'm victorious. I'm going to use that word. I'm very victorious.
Yes, you are.
I was a victim at one time, but I'm not a victim anymore. I'm victorious. So, but I'm still asking God to show me who I am, even as He unfolds me more and more. Show me, God, who I am in You and who You are in me. Cause sometimes I back up and I'm like, wait a minute, God, and He have to, okay, go on back out there, baby. You got this.
Yeah.
So I can say I'm an overcomer.
I love it.
I'm an overcomer.
I love it. Listen, y'all, this has been good. Like she said, I honestly don't believe we even scratched the surface of her story, because she has overcome a lot in her life. And
Yes.
I don't even know the full story, but I remember a phone conversation me and you had probably a couple weeks ago, and you shared some things with me there. And I'm just like, on that phone conversation, I was like, wow, my sister really been through all of this? Like, wow. But it's amazing to see what God has done in your life. And I'm just looking forward to seeing what He's going to yet do in your life.
Yes, amen.
Yes, this is my sister, y'all, for real. She ain't my blood sister, but she my sister in Christ.
Amen.
And
My big little brother. My big little brother.
but I truly thank you for coming on the show today. The last thing that we're going to do is I want you to give an encouraging word to just give an encouraging word. I ain't gonna even put no restrictions on it. Just however you feel led.
Okay. I just want to let somebody know that the Bible lets us know that we can do all things through Christ that strengthens us. And that for us to look to the hills which come our help, because our help do come from the Lord. You cannot do this thing without Christ. That's the first thing. You cannot walk this salvation walk without the Lord. And I mean, not half-heartedly. You got to be all in. You got to be all in. And it's not even about the blessings and everything that God can do for you. It's about it's about kingdom business. But in order to be a help to somebody else, you got to allow God to do a work in you. And you can't put no limits on God. So I would encourage somebody just to seek Him best you can through the hurt, through the pain, through the betrayal, through all the things you went through all the family issues you go through, financial issues you go through. I'm telling you, it's nothing God doesn't know that you're going through that He cannot, see that you're going through. And I'm learning that even more and more, because sometimes we think we're in this world by ourselves and we're going through this situation by ourselves.
Right.
That nobody else is dealing with what you're dealing with. But that's not so. It's somebody that's been through what you've been through, but it's new to you. But my what I would say is to first off and to make sure you got somebody in your corner. And I ain't gonna say no anybody, but a godly wisdom person with wisdom, godly wisdom, a covering, a for real covering.
Yeah.
And we can go into that area, but a for real covering, a church family.
Yeah.
Because that's what helped me through. Stay connected. to your church family. Stay connected to the Word of God.
Yeah.
Continue to keep speak positive.
Yes.
Speak positive. If nobody's speaking positive around you, you speak positive. Listen to positive sermons or whatever you listen to. Make sure you listen to the right things, because all of that matters.
Right.
To keep you encouraged, to keep you going. And I said, excuse me, surround yourself with right people. You got to. I'm telling y'all, without my church family, I'm telling you, it'd have been very hard for me. Even, and I'm gonna say this, even throughout the years, God had always placed somebody to take me to the next part of my life. He sent that mother here and there to, to help me. I might not got the fullness of what I wanted from them, but he had them to nurture me where I was at that moment. To teach me this at this moment so I can get to the next part. But surround yourself with right people. Your covering makes a difference.
It does.
It makes a big difference. And I found that out the hard way. Who you're listening to, what you're listening to, makes a big difference. But do not put no limits on God. You may be looking for God to come through the front door, but God will come through the back door. However God come in your life, and however God does what he does in your life, let him do it. Don't get mad about how he doing it. It might not be the way you think he should do it, because, we like that sometimes. God, I want you to do it this way. I want you to put a crease in it right here, flat it right there, fold it here, cut that out right there. No, let him do it the way he see fit to do it. And you might not even like the way he doing it, but just receive it what he's doing. Right. Because he know better than you do. He created you. But my thing is, keep looking to the hills which come in your help. I know, that sound like, some of these cliches. We say Bible verses. But I'm telling you, once you practice these things and you repeat these things, scripture, that's what's going to keep you going and keep you encouraged, even through all the mess we as people go through in life. Because life gonna life. Life happens. Yeah. But it's not to harm you. And I like how God says in the word, everything that the enemy meant for your bad. Because the enemy he wants to come in to steal, kill, and destroy you. And everything that enemy meant for your bad, to tear you down, to corrupt you, to kill you. If you just let God take everything, every situation you have went through, and turn that thing around and use it for a testimony. Yeah. That's what I learned throughout all of my life experiences. Don't be ashamed of what you went through. Use it as a testimony to tell someone how you made it over, how you came out of that situation. And even when I hear other people's testimonies, it excites me. It lets me know, dang. Because sometimes you think you got it bad. Yeah. But when you hear somebody's stuff worse than yours, and I ain't gonna say I'm encouraged to fact to where, but I'm encouraged to let me know, okay, God, you really love me, because I couldn't handle what they went through. Right. But it lets me know that, somebody was praying for them and me. Yeah. Because you should have died and me too. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So, but use your go through as a testimony. Don't be ashamed of what you went through. Don't be afraid to tell somebody what you went through. Don't keep that stuff bottled. Tell somebody what you went through and how God brought you out of that situation. Like I said, there's a lot of things that, we haven't talked about in here. I know we got, limited time on certain things. But if I just told you everything that I went through, I'm telling you, you can't even tell me God ain't real. I know God real, Jarett. I know he's real, because everything that I went through, the enemy was supposed to kill me. The enemy tried to kill me from birth, in the womb, from my mother's womb. And I'm talking literally, he tried to kill me. I was born early. Wasn't supposed to make it. Wow. I was a preemie. Came in 7 months. My mom was drinking then. I was supposed to die. I was supposed to have, when people drink, they had these, the baby had these deficiencies and different handicaps. Yeah. Supposed to have all that. but God.
But God.
So stay encouraged. Keep praying. Keep your hand in God. Keep keep doing what God requires you to do. I can say more, but I'm gonna leave it at that. Just stay connected to the Lord.
Yes, God. Thank y'all so much for tuning in. We'll see you next week for Faith Encounters with Jarett Terry. Thank you again, Minister Lyons,
You're
for being
welcome.
here.
God bless you.
Have a good day.